On this episode of Pure Brews America, things get wild when we visit Transient Artisan Ales. Then we revisit Drafting Table Brewing Company to take a look back at their first year in business. And finally, I find out that it's always sunny in Indianapolis thanks to the guys at King Brewing Company. I'm Shannon Long, founder of Brew Export, and I want to welcome you to Pure Brews America. Join me as I travel across Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois on a journey to discover the amazing stories, people, and places that make up the craft beer industry's greatest breweries. Hey, it's Shannon Long, and today I'm in Bridgman, Michigan, hanging out with the fine folks at Transient Artisan Ales.
I thoroughly enjoy Transient. It's a great spot.
I love Transient. They're probably one of the best breweries in Michigan, in my opinion.
I think this place has really brought out the more serious, I don't want to say aficionados, but the people that really take beer more seriously than just as simple as like, oh, I like an IPA or something, It's like there's a lot more nuance that happens here, and I think a lot of the people that are a little bit more in tune to that appreciate it.
And really, you got to take a step back and be like, damn, this is some good beer.
The people who actually make everything here are always right up front, and it's just way more personal.
They have different beers than a lot of the other breweries around here. They're kind of like a Belgian-focused brewery, and so they have a lot of sours and a lot of saisons and different beers that you don't get at, maybe the other places close by.
I am a very big fan of sour beers and Brett beers in general, so when I heard that there was a brewery opening up in this area, and since I live in Bridgman, it was pretty exciting to hear that they were doing that kind of style.
What he does is kind of cutting edge in the beer scene, which wasn't really present in this area. I mean, you go to Chicago and they're on the cutting edge of beer, out to the West Coast and the East Coast, doing the New England style stuff, and he brought that back to the Midwest, which is ahead of kind of everybody in Michigan.
It's real laid back, it's not snobby, it's just a lot of people that really appreciate what's happening here, and they're glad that it's in a relatively small town, because you don't usually see things of this caliber in areas like this. It's usually in bigger cities, so we're very happy to have that here.
The mild-mannered genius behind Transient's incredible creations is Chris Betts.
I went to school, got my degree in marketing and management, always with the intention that I wanted to open a brewery someday. I was home brewing in college. Finally got my first job at Witch's Hat Brewing. Kind of learned from them. I was able to kind of pick up how to brew on a commercial system. And so I started Transient as a contract gypsy brewer. So we'd rent space in another brewery. I had my own fermenters, my own barrels, and I would just use their brew house one day a week, make a beer for myself, and then sell it, package it, everything kind of on the side.
And when it came time for Chris to open his own brewery, he picked Bridgman in Southwest Michigan, which is experiencing a booming craft beer scene, making it home to over a dozen breweries.
We kind of scrapped this all together ourselves. We didn't have any investors, and I really didn't have any money, so we kind of just made it work with what we could find. We went up to kind of a dairy graveyard in Wisconsin that has just stainless for miles, and picked out what became our mash tun. For our boil kettle, we bought a wine tank and kind of retrofitted it with heating elements to kind of boil our beer, and they both work very well, even though that's not their intended purpose.
All right, Rachel, Chris, let's drink some of your Transient beer.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so this is one of our recent releases, Cromulent. It's an American pale ale that we make with Mosaic and Simcoe hops.
I don't like to pick favorites because I feel like that I'm cheating on the other beers that I don't drink as much, but I really like Cromulent. I'm actually really glad it's on tap right now.
This is one of those hazy-ish East Coast style beers.
Yes, it is. I cannot see through it at all.
I think this one's
just the way we like it.
Crowd pleaser when people come in and want something light and crisp.
All right, I'm pretty excited right now. The juice is loose. This is the beer. This is the beer that people go crazy for. Never had it. I'm excited.
I mean, the Juice is Loose was one of the first beers I bought a growler of when it was like a 10-gallon batch. And so since then, it's been this like explosion of fandom. There's been lines out the door. It's gotten crazy.
It was our first double IPA. An incredible amount of hops, about 5.5 to 6 pounds per barrel.
Super juicy. That's why it's in the name.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it's pretty tasty.
This is so good. Those may have been good, but I really came to Transient to sample some of their signature sour beer.
Yeah, so this is another one of the fruited versions of the Foeder 2.
So this is what apricot does to a beer, and this is what grapes does to a beer. This is so wonderful. Like, this beer is making me so, it's got all the tartness of the sour, but just a little bit of that dryness from the grapes.
Yes.
I love
People
this
come in
beer.
and they're hesitant about beer, but they like wine. I usually lead them to this first because it has like the wine profile, but
This is a good gateway beer into Transient.
yes, absolutely.
Thanks for letting me drink all your beers.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, so you have something special here at Transient that we have never shot on the history of Pure Brews America, and that is a coolship.
We will take the wort without chilling it. We'll pump it into a large, square, rectangular-ish open tank, usually outside, usually when it's cold, has to be right around freezing. And over the course of the night, it'll chill. Bacteria, yeast will fall, start living in the beer. So the product in the end is just completely whatever happens that night, that day, that location, completely unique. The Belgians still do this today, and a couple American brewers, including us at Transient.
That's incredible. So this is Bridgman Transient only.
Yep.
You cannot make this beer anywhere else on the planet except here because it's coming from the air.
Yeah,
Incredible.
and even day to day, they'll be just completely different as well.
That's awesome. So we're going to be pumping from the kettle here.
Yep.
Outside the coolship.
Yep.
We got beer. Woo!
And you just hang that in there. Try to grab as much in the parts that aren't going to have hot liquid coming through them.
Oh, don't want to burn myself.
Good to go.
Send it on over, Brendan.
Brendan.
All right. Beers are flowing. Woo!
Yeah, there are going to be some sounds.
We're going to fill this all up. Well, I'll tell you what, it smells delicious. So what made you want to use a coolship? Not a lot of people are really using them. You just want to be cool, right?
I want to be real cool. No, we wanted to kind of delve into something that nobody else was really doing. It's the kind of beer I really like drinking.
I'm with you.
As a brewer, not knowing what's going to come out of it is really interesting.
For some brewers, that's terrifying.
No, yeah, that too.
For you, I'm with you. I mean, sour beers, they're my favorite beer in the world, and you're doing them a little bit different over here, and
yeah,
I love it.
That's what makes it fun. If I was just brewing the same beer every day, I don't think I'd enjoy it as much.
Right now, we've got a lambic going into the coolship. It's going to collect the yeast from your brewery, the air around your brewery. Do you plant, and then you're going to move it into a barrel?
Yep.
Are you going to be adding any fruit to it, or just as
That's something that we see after it ferments out. We'll kind of see what path it's on, what it might need, if we want to blend it between other batches, other barrels, or if we want to add fruit, dry hop it, any other kind of finishing touch we want to put on it.
That's too cool. Just kind of making it up as you go along.
Yep.
Rachel, Chris, thanks so much for having me out to Transient today. Cheers. Cheers. Visit purebrewsamerica.com for more about our Emmy-winning show, including broadcast schedules and past episodes.
Jack Link's Jerky presents Versus. As you can see by our irrefutable science, Jack Link's has more protein and better music than these other snacks. Jack Link's jerky beats the snack out of other snacks. Introducing Jack Link's extra tender steak strips.
You may remember Aaron and Kristen Resnick, who we featured on our show last year when they opened their brewery Drafting Table in Wixom, Michigan. We recently caught up with the couple to see how things are going.
We're feeling great. We're feeling a lot more refreshed. We feel like we semi-know what we're doing. When we are together here, it's smooth. Like, we just know each other well enough to where we know how to not irritate each other. Where one of us is like thinking about something, the other one can just get the vibe, and it's like, okay, like step away for a second, or it's like, okay, you need some help, and so you run in and try to help out wherever you can, and yeah, we're feeling really good. Biggest change probably is just the starting to bottle beer and distribute to restaurants and bars all in the area. We were at the grand opening of Hopcat Royal Oak, and that was so much fun. We had 7 beers on tap there.
But along with all that distribution comes more quality control, which for a small brewery can be kind of hard. For us, we're kind of in a challenging phase because we just signed on with a distributor. Trying to figure out which beers to push in distribution, which is now a pretty competitive market. So you're trying to find what's different enough. Also keeping up with being able to feed them beer and also maintain the beer flowing in the pub.
We're also at like a phase where we might need to expand a little bit just to keep up with everything, and then also hiring on additional help.
No brewery trip is complete without sampling some beers. So we asked Kristen and Aaron to walk us through their favorites.
So Resolute is our kind of West Coast style IPA. Very clean, which makes it a little dangerous, being 7.7%, but it's a huge seller. Blonde is our gateway beer to non-craft beer drinkers. Low in bitterness, extremely drinkable. Still have to be careful at 6% alcohol, but yeah, very, very popular beer as well. Professional Pils, my personal favorite. Being a brewer, I know a lot of us brewers like Pilsner. This is a German-style Pils, dry finish, a nice kind of toasty, bready malt profile to it, and then with a nice herbal, spicy finish from the German noble hops that we use in it. Woody Yank. So the cool thing about that is, so we brew it with coriander, and then we actually dry hop it with fresh zest, grapefruit and orange zest, which it really gives it a nice, bright citrus flavor to it.
Our Mean Vanilla Bean Barrel Aged has been a huge success. We released bottles for our anniversary party, and we had a line around the building, which was, we did not expect it. And just seeing everybody so excited for our beer, it was like, whoa, this is really cool. It was surreal. It didn't feel real at all.
So the next time you're in Southeast Michigan, keep an eye out for Drafting Table on beer menus, or do one better and head out to their Wixom brewery. Cheers! Pure Brews America is sponsored by Faygo, the original craft pop that's been made in Michigan for 110 years. Pick up a 2-liter or 6-pack today to create the perfect craft cocktail.
When we started 20 years ago, the beer business was tough.
So we played it safe and brewed the beers we thought people were expecting, which led us
pretty much right to the edge of bankruptcy.
So we figured we may as well start brewing beers that we liked. Bigger, bolder, aromatic, in-your-face beers.
And luckily, it turned out a few other folks enjoyed those beers as well.
So now if it's brewed by us, it's really brewed for us. That's the secret.
But you just told everybody.
At Meijer, we believe in the people who believe in themselves and bringing our customers the very best local craft beers from all over Michigan, like Founders, Bell's, and Shorts. Because things that come from nearby don't just taste better and fresher. They help keep our prices low and our communities thriving.
I'm Mike Stevens.
And I'm Dave Ingers.
Look for us.
And great beers from all over Michigan at your local Meijer.
Welcome back to Pure Brews America. Did you know that there are over 100 different beer styles? This variety creates so many opportunities for awesome pairings with jerky from our friends over at Jack Link's. With so many options, where should you start? I recommend complementing the complex spiciness of the cracked black pepper with a Belgian-style ale, like Final Absolution from Dragon Mead Brewery. You could also substitute with Brewery Vivant's Farmhand, Bastone's Double Vision, or Sapient Trip Ale from Dark Horse. So visit your local Meijer store today to stock up on Jack Link's and your favorite craft beer. This perfect pairing will help feed your wild side. Atwater, Upland, North Peak, and many others turned 20 this year. Meijer, too, sold their very first craft beer more than 20 years ago. Today, they've expanded their selection to hundreds of craft beers, creating the expansive array that is the Beer Frontier. The Beer Frontier connects you to what's brewing near you. Visit the Beer Frontier website for a listing of different events and festivals in your area and across the Midwest.
Meijer has supported local craft beer in Michigan for a very long time, and then brought that idea and philosophy to Indiana. And so when we, decided to launch grocery,
we rolled out beers in grocery stores across the state of Indiana. Meijer was a huge supporter. The folks from Meijer, main beer buyer actually, they came down and take a tour of our brewery and talk to us and meet us and learn about us, talked about our philosophy and who we are and their philosophy and why they support craft beer and why they're building the programs that they are to support craft beer. And we had a great time, and they were just really great people and really fun to spend time with. So it really helped deepen our partnership and our relationship. And
Meijer was a big part of helping get us out.
They were nice enough to give us like pallet displays right in the middle of their beer aisles and really showcase our product and put it out there where people could really get a handle on it.
Join us in exploring Meijer's shelves and celebrating over 20 years of commitment to craft by checking out the Beer Frontier.
Broad Ripple is cool. That was our first out-of-the-state store. I like it's located on a canal. It's a great neighborhood as far as like a hop-in bar district. You walk 3 feet and you're in another cool little spot. And so I kind of felt like we fit right in.
Well, first of all, Broad Ripple, to anyone who doesn't live in Indianapolis, they may not know that Broad Ripple is a neighborhood in Indianapolis. So we call it Hopcat Broad Ripple because we thought maybe we'd do another one in Indy someday, and so we wanted to differentiate, but really it's Hopcat Indianapolis.
We got to do a lot of fun stuff with that one. Broad Ripple has a sandwich that none of our other sites have, which is the pork tenderloin Who Knocks. One of my favorite things is the velvet artwork. It was also the first time that we opened up the beer cooler so that the outside world could look into our beer cooler. We were able to put in another like mezzanine, so you get these features that are starting to become like kind of things with us. It's pretty badass.
Visit Hopcat at the 22nd Annual Indiana Microbrewers Festival at Military Park in downtown Indianapolis on Saturday, July 29th. They'll be serving up some of their favorite new beers from Indiana brewers, dishing out swag, and hanging out with some of their friends from breweries across the state. Hopcat Broad Ripple in Indianapolis is also pre-banding for the festival, cutting your time in line, as well as offering brunch for the big event on Saturday. Visit hopcat.com to find out more information. When Pure Brews returns, we ride the streets of Indianapolis while drinking the amazing beer of King Brewing Company. Vlasic Pickles is a proud partner of Pure Brews America and the craft beer industry. Don't forget to pick up a jar of Vlasic Pickles to enjoy with your next craft beverage or Bloody Mary.
At Planters, we're all about great taste, and we thoroughly test all our nuts for superior craveability. Hey, Richard, check out this fresh roasted flavor. Looks delicious, huh?
Yeah.
Richard, try to control yourself.
I can't help it.
And how about that aroma?
Love that aroma.
Craveability approved.
Oh, can I have some now?
Sure. Help yourself.
Wait, what?
Irresistibly Planters.
We don't frost brew our beer, and hot chicks won't appear if you drink it. Our beer doesn't come in a bow tie shaped can or need color indicators to tell you it's cold. It won't be delivered by Clydesdale horses, and to tell you the truth, we aren't the most interesting people in the world. Fact of the matter is, we don't tell stories. We just let our beer do the talking.
Back in the early 2000s, Janice would have dropped off all 4 of her kids at soccer practice after a sit-down dinner. But Janice is a mother today, so all 4 of Janice's kids are on 4 separate paths of self-discovery, which occur at 4 different times in the afternoon, leaving a total of 4 minutes for her kids to eat. Even though dinner time has become less strict, we remain strict as ever when it comes to our standards. Made with premium cuts of 100% kosher beef, so you can feel good feeding your family no matter what time dinner is. Hebrew National, we remain strict.
Hey, it's Shannon Long, and today I am in downtown Indianapolis taking you behind the scenes of Sun King Brewery.
One of my favorite beers. There's a lot of great local breweries around here, but these guys are the top of the top. They're the best.
It's a great beer. They have lots of varieties. They always have the small batch, and I love their sours.
Oh, it's delicious.
We've been here 3 times this week.
Your 3 mainstays is Weemac, Osiris, and Cream Ale. All of them have had many, many times. People come in here all the time. They love it.
Sun King Brewing Company was founded by veteran brewers Dave Colt and Clay Robinson.
The genesis of Sun King goes back to a little over a decade ago and a conversation that Dave and I had, which would be, what would you do if you could start your own brewery? But actually, the beginning of our friendship goes back over 20 years.
We never spoke about what kind of beer we wanted to make. We talked about what kind of culture we wanted to create.
While there were several brew pubs in Indianapolis at the time, Sun King became the first production brewery in the city since 1948.
Yeah, we were looking around at other states and we're saying, you know, there are major cities and states that have an identity with local beer. And Indiana, you know, not so much, especially Indianapolis. So we were like, this is a very underserved market.
You know, fresh local beer became our motto from the very beginning.
With a dream and $500,000, we turned that into this place.
Dave and Clay knew what kind of beer they wanted to make, but finding the right name for their brewery wasn't as easy.
We really want to make seasonal beers and really bring that to bear. So what's important to us, and that would be our proximity to the sun. The sun is king of our solar system. So I went, oh, Sun King, I love it. And he said,
that's a great name for a brewery if you're in Southern California, Phoenix, Arizona, or Denver, Colorado, somewhere where the sun shines all the time, Dave. It was like a gray late winter, spring morning, but the sun was peeking through, and he said, what's that? And I said, what?
I said, what's this big ass fiery ball in the sky? And he said, it's the sun, Dave, you smart ass. And I said, yes, the sun shines on us lowly Hoosiers like it does the great people of California.
Sun King went on to surpass their 5-year goal of selling 5,000 barrels in only the first year. Now 8 years in, they're set to pump out over 40,000 barrels of delicious beer. Thanks to this success, Dave and Clay were able to start giving back to their community.
Indiana has this crazy loophole where the only way we can discount beer to anyone is if it's a registered 501c3, a nonprofit. So we started offering a third off of our beer to nonprofit organizations and helping them plan events where beer was the showcase. We use the power of beer to bring people out. We use our access to great liquid to help you figure out how to monetize that and make money so that that money then can further your mission, and we can help you tell your story, and all of these organizations can help make our community a better place to live, work, and play.
I think we're doing 700 different events this year.
So yeah, over 700 events a year. So basically, if you take it out to every day, there's 2 events a day. Some days have none, some days have a dozen. We use our tasting room for a place to bring partners in. So we really, I think it's one of the things that we're most proud of.
Okay, enough talking about Sun King beers. It's time to taste a few. What are we gonna do first?
I think we'll start with a Sunlight Cream Ale.
Woo, let's do it. Oh yeah.
Tasty, right?
This is a great beer. You don't see a lot of breweries with a flagship cream ale.
No, and I think for us, when we started 8 years ago, there weren't really any production breweries in Indianapolis, and this city really was kind of a Busch Light and Coors Light kind of city. So we needed something to appeal to the non-craft beer drinkers. And unfortunately, there's that stigma out there that people think all craft beer is bitter and hoppy and strong and whatever. So cream ale is kind of our way to show, hey, this is a gateway beer. This is how you get non-craft beer drinkers into craft beer. And I've met a lot of people that said their first craft beer they really enjoyed was Sunlight Cream Ale. And from there, they kind of expanded their horizons.
What do we have here?
So this is Osiris. This is our house pale ale. It is a traditional West Coast pale ale, nugget Cascade hops. This is my go-to beer, my year-round drinker. I have 5 gallons of this on tap in my house at all times. I love this beer. It is sessionable, it's drinkable, it's just a solid pale ale. You don't see a lot of pale ales nowadays. Everyone's into the IPAs, double IPAs, and to just sit down and drink a beer, this is what I want.
The hop presence is not overwhelming.
Nope.
It's there, but it's enough to make you happy. It's a great beer to sit down with at the end of the day. I couldn't agree more. Hola, senor.
Hola, senorita. Here we have Pachanga. This is our Mexican lager.
Okay, so what exactly is a Mexican lager? Because for me, well, this isn't what I expected. Tasting this. When I think of Mexican lager, I think Corona, and I think a light struck beer with some skunkiness in it. But that's not it. This is good. This is good.
Well, thank you. Yes, we used traditional Mexican lager strain of yeast, so it gives a nice crisp lager character, but it's actually harvested from Mexico City. And then we use all Bravo hops, which is hop variety that kind of imparts a nice lime character to a beer.
This is a great gateway beer.
4.2% is the perfect summer hot weather beer.
The literal translation is a gathering of family and friends featuring food and beverage and music. So it's basically just a get together. It's a party. We have this thing at Sun King that's called a Marty, and it's a little bit meeting / a party. So we made the piñata and we decided we would call him Marty. Since boxes usually get thrown away, they are recyclable, but people just discard them. If you happen to be smart enough or curious enough to look at the bottom of the box, you're going to realize that there's an art project on the box. And so now people can build their own piñatas. We had piñatas at our launch party, and it actually is amazing how excited people get about piñatas. It really blows their minds.
Tell me about the shifty machine. I've never seen this before. It is way cool.
So we got an old soda machine, and basically after work, everyone's allowed to shift beer. And instead of the canning line, whenever it has a short fill or a scratched end in can, we usually toss them out because we can't sell those. And we figured a shifty machine would be a good way to give our employees that beer. And putting in an old soda machine, it's awesome. Go there, hit a button, beer comes out, drink the beer, you're happy.
Well, thanks for taking me through all your beer.
Anytime. Nice meeting you guys. Cheers.
I've heard a rumor that I can drink your beer on the streets of Indianapolis.
It is true. So we had the Super Bowl a few years back, and when they did, there was a lot of confusion about what the laws were, and there was a clarification came out, and it basically says that Indianapolis has no open container law, so you can drink beer on the streets, and as long as you're not inebriated, then you are completely fine.
And this is basically the Las Vegas of the Midwest.
It is the Las Vegas of the Midwest. That's what we hang our hat on.
What happens in Indianapolis at Sun King. Woo! Dave, Clay, thanks so much for having me out to Sun King today. Let's end it with some beers riding around sunny Indianapolis. Cheers. Cheers.